Before we begin, let me warn you, this is not a comfortable conversation. It's not soft, and it's definitely not what you want to hear, but it might be the one thing you need most. Since childhood, you were taught to search outward for answers, for villains, for someone to blame, and all too often, the name that surfaces is your mother's. But here's the uncomfortable truth that few dare to speak. It's not your mother who still holds you back. It's what your mind did with her. This isn't an accusation. It's not about blame. It's about reality. Raw, unfiltered, and hard to digest. Because long after your mother has left the room, she lives on in your unconscious. You've tried to move forward. You've sought peace. But peace can't enter a war you haven't even acknowledged. And that war, it's not against her. It's against a phantom, a shadow, an image formed long before you had words, an archetype. Carl Jung called it the mother complex. And it's not just a psychological label. It's a prison made of air and memory. It's the silent voice judging your every move. It's the emptiness that nothing fills. It's the approval you still chase and don't even realize why. The worst part, it's not even yours. It's inherited, passed down, etched into the unseen skin of your soul. And so you ask, how do I heal from something like this? This is where the real work begins. As long as you see your mother as either all-powerful or all-responsible, whether you worship her or resent her, you're not seeing her at all. You're seeing a myth, a story shaped by unmet needs, lingering silences, and emotional wounds that were never given names. And that myth, it controls your life more than you realize. Every time you long for approval, every relationship you ruin hoping someone will finally save you, every boundary you fail to set, these aren't just surface issues. They're echoes of childhood. They're rooted in moments that never happened, a gaze that never landed, a hug that never came, a sentence you needed but never heard. And now, you're grown, but inside, you're still that child, still waiting for mom to whisper, everything's going to be okay. But here's the most brutal truth. That moment isn't coming. Healing doesn't come from hoping she will change. Healing starts the moment you stop waiting. And yes, that hurts. You were told that forgiveness is the key, that understanding her would unlock everything, that walking in her shoes is the noble path. And yes, those things can help, but only if you first do this. Look inward and accept that the wound is no longer hers. It's yours, and no one is coming to heal it for you. Now answer this honestly. How many times have you caught yourself becoming her? Saying what she said, doing what she did, even though you swore you wouldn't. That's the trap. This complex isn't just emotional, it's behavioral. It becomes you. It shapes your actions. And unless you become conscious of it, you'll just replay her story with different actors, same ending. The pattern repeats itself until someone breaks it. But breaking it is painful. Why? Because you're not just letting go of pain, you're letting go of hope. Hope that what never was will be. Hope that someday you'll get what you didn't receive, but childhood won't return. And that comfort you didn't get, you'll have to give it to yourself. Are you ready to do that? To stop longing for the love you needed and start building the love you deserve, because that's the doorway. There is no other. In Jung's language, the mother is more than a person. She's an archetype. She represents origin, warmth, safety, emotional nourishment. But when that energy isn't integrated, she becomes something else. A shadow, A fog you project onto lovers, friends, mentors, bosses, always expecting someone to rescue you, to read your mind, to fill your void. But that's not love, that's lack. And lack isn't healed by finding someone, it's healed by finding truth. The first step: stop idealizing her. She wasn't perfect, she wasn't divine, but she wasn't evil either. She was a human being, flawed, wounded, carrying pain of her own. She did what she could with what she had. And sometimes what she had wasn't enough. That doesn't erase the damage, but it explains it. And in that understanding, something loosens. Not because you force forgiveness, but because you finally see clearly. Idealization is just as toxic as resentment. Both keep you stuck. Both block your growth. Here's the truth. You don't need a mother anymore. You need you. A stronger you. A gentler you. A more awake you. And that version of yourself. It doesn't arrive by magic. You have to build it. And you start now. You want to begin healing? Then start here. Not with affirmations, not with another book, but with your reactions. That's where the truth hides. Every time you feel rejected, pause. Ask yourself, who am I really seeing right now? The person in front of me, or the wound that's still bleeding inside me? Every time you demand unconditional love, look deeper. Do I truly want love? Or do I want someone to fix what she never did? Every time you betray yourself just to be accepted, ask the harder question, who abandoned me first? Healing isn't linear, it's not graceful, it's not poetic, it's a descent, a slow crawl into the depths of your own pain. It's an intimate confrontation with the child you buried, the one who remembers more than you think. You don't just recall the past, you relive it, feel it, and then, if you're willing, you let it go. And yes, sometimes that inner child cries, other times it screams, it lashes out, it sabotages your life, not out of malice, but because it has waited far too long to be heard. So stop silencing it. Stop smothering it with self-help slogans or surface-level positivity. Make space for it. Ask it gently. What did you need? Then give it to yourself. No one else will. Self-compassion isn't weakness. It's medicine. The only remedy when all else has failed. But here's the catch. To offer that compassion, you need courage. Because there's a part of you, conditioned and hardened, that hates yourself, that punishes you, that repeats the shame others once put on you. And until you break that cycle, healing stays out of reach. Emotional re-education isn't theoretical. It's not reading a book and nodding in agreement. It's seeing yourself through new eyes. It's building new responses. It's refusing to search for mother in every partner, every friend, every stranger. Let me be honest with you. The world won't give you what you didn't receive. It's not built for that. The world will demand, judge, ignore. And in the chaos of that indifference, you must build yourself. Freedom doesn't begin when you finally get what you needed. It begins when you stop trying to get it the same way, when you choose differently, when you realize you are no longer 5 years old. You are no longer trapped in that room. You don't need a certain voice, a certain touch, or permission to be who you are. But still, a part of you hopes, still begs in silence, still waits. That part is not your enemy. But it is your responsibility. Heal it, not tomorrow. Now, because you'll never feel ready. Healing doesn't arrive with peace. It emerges through the noise, the panic, the resistance. And when it comes, it doesn't feel magical. It feels like grief, like an empty space where something familiar used to be. Because healing demands loss. Loss of the victim role. Loss of the weight. Loss of the fantasy that she'll come back and make it right. Does it hurt? Yes. But staying stuck hurts more. So look, really look, ask yourself, how much of my suffering still belongs to that image I carry of her? And, more importantly, how much longer will I let it rule me? Make peace, not with her, but with yourself. Because in the end, the most important mother isn't the one who raised you. It's the one you choose to become for yourself. And maybe that version hasn't been born yet, but it can be. Now that you've come this far, let me take you deeper. Because there's one final layer we haven't explored. A shadow so subtle, most never see it. Invisible loyalty. Yes, you heard right. A loyalty you didn't choose, but one that binds you like a thread through your spine. No matter how many books you read, how much therapy you do, how much progress you seem to make, you return to the same point. Why? Because deep in your unconscious, you believe that healing means betrayal. Sounds twisted, doesn't it? But it's true. A part of you whispers, if I surpass her, I dishonor her. If I become free, I leave her behind. This isn't logic. It's emotional code. It's the imprint of years spent attaching your identity to hers. What she felt, what she feared, what she lacked. You inherited it as if it were your duty. Without knowing it, you made a vow, a silent pact. I won't be happier than you, Mom. I won't be freer. I won't heal unless you do too. That's the prison. And the most tragic part, it looks like love. It doesn't feel like hate. It feels like devotion. A soft chain, but a chain nonetheless. That's why you keep repeating stories you don't understand. That's why, just when you're about to rise, you collapse. You sabotage. Because a voice inside still says, if I succeed where she didn't, I'm being disloyal. But here's the brutal truth. Your pain doesn't honor her. Your stagnation doesn't heal her. Your misery doesn't repay her. So why carry what was never yours? There's a scene that plays out in too many lives. The child who refuses to live fully, so as not to hurt the feelings of a mother who's no longer here, or who never really was. As if deep down you're still whispering, look, Mom, I suffer too. You've been telling yourself a heartbreaking lie that if you keep suffering, your mother will somehow feel less alone in hers. Yet that silent pact, meant as love, is slowly suffocating you. The real betrayal isn't surpassing your mother's story. It's replaying it on loop. If you truly love her, if you truly want to honor both her and yourself, understand this. To honor the mother is to move beyond her, not in arrogance, not in rejection, but in evolution. She gave you life. Your task is to expand it, not compress it, to turn inherited pain into awareness, into transformation, into authentic living. But first, you must shatter the vow you made before you could even form words, the vow that whispers, I won't be freer than you. Break it gently but firmly. In silence, say to her, even if she can't hear you, even if she is gone, Mom, thank you for everything you could give. Now I must walk a different road for both our sakes. Because as long as you cling to that hidden loyalty, your life becomes a carbon copy of hers. Her fears become yours. Her way of loving and of withholding seeps into your relationships. Her inability to set boundaries becomes the cage around your voice, all repeated without your awareness. Have you noticed how rejection feels unbearable? How guilt gnaws whenever success finds you? How you choose partners who dim your light, not because you're weak, but because you're loyal. That loyalty costs one thing. your life. Dare to confront it, and an uneasy void appears, a hush where identity once merged with hers. For the inner child, it feels like abandonment. For the adult you're becoming, it is birth. Healing isn't breaking ties, it's redefining them inside you. Whether your mother was nurturing, distant, smothering, or wounded, what matters now is not her, but the place she occupies in your psyche. Left disorganized, that place becomes an altar or a prison. Idealization and enslavement are twins in disguise. Both distort reality. The only escape is dismantling the fantasy. That fantasy wears many masks. The martyr mother, perfect mother, sacrificial mother, omnipresent mother. None are real. She was also a daughter. She dragged her own ghosts. She loved as best she could. And sometimes that wasn't enough. You are not here to reenact her destiny. You are here to transmute it, to turn unconscious inheritance into conscious wisdom, to close the cycle so your children, or the projects, communities, and legacies you nurture, won't carry what you're carrying now. Because what we pass on isn't just genes or heirlooms. It's unresolved patterns, silenced traumas, the weight of unspoken stories. Remember, you cannot change the past, but you can change how the past lives inside you. You don't need to sever ties with your mother. You need to sever ties with the distorted archetype you've housed within. Silence the inner judge that punishes your brightness. Question the guilt that surfaces each time you choose yourself. This liberation is not against her. It is for you. Your original wound does not dictate your destiny. Your response to it does. So ask yourself, how long will I pay tribute to a pattern that starves me? How long will I drag a story I didn't write? It's time to convert pain into propulsion, to stop surviving and start living. That requires one ingredient: courage. Courage to abandon inherited loyalty. Courage to rebuild without the crutch of her permission. Courage to look into the mirror and declare, from now on, I take care of me. When you do, when you finally choose yourself, you honor your mother in the highest form possible, because the greatest tribute to the one who gave you life is to live it. Yet just when you think the chains are broken, a subtler trap emerges: emotional self-abandonment. Rooted in that lingering archetype, it whispers, if I don't get the care I needed, I'll shapeshift to survive. And the child adapts, dims their needs, silences their voice, seeks crumbs of approval. Adult you still practices those same contortions, but adaptation is no longer necessary. Presence is. Radical, self-nourishing presence. So tonight, sit with the silence. Feel the old pang of disloyalty and see it for what it is. A relic, not a rule. Thank the child for surviving, then guide them toward thriving, because the lineage changes here, on this line, with this breath, with you. Listen closely. Before a child learns to speak, they learn to go silent. They swallow sobs, tuck fear beneath the ribs, pretend nothing hurts, because pretending is safer than rejection. Decades later, that survival tactic hardens into your lifestyle. Look at how you treat yourself. The razor-sharp tone of your inner dialogue. The impossible standards you'd never impose on a friend. The relentless whip you mistake for discipline. That isn't coincidence. It's the same abandoned archetype still pulling your strings, now enacted from the inside out. You have become the very voice that once ignored you. And here's the most brutal knot in the story. No one is harming you today. You are wounding yourself, replaying an obsolete program, Every time you deny rest, downgrade your pain, betray your needs so no one feels uneasy, each time you tolerate the intolerable for fear of losing love, you repeat an ancient script: if I disappear emotionally, they might keep me. Translation: you survived childhood by vanishing. Now you're slowly bleeding out of existence. Invisible, quiet, an authoritarian warden who never lets you cry, who demands strength at all costs, who orders you to lift everyone except yourself. Here's the twisted irony: the more you abandon yourself, the louder you dream someone will rescue you. But salvation cannot arrive from the outside when the siege commander lives within. Nobody can give what you keep refusing yourself. So the real revolution begins here. Become the mother you never had. Re-educate your nervous system from scratch. Offer the affection once withheld. Grant permission to feel without judgment. Speak to yourself with tenderness when you stumble. Drop perfection when comfort is all you crave. Yes, it feels bizarre at first. You've grown fluent in criticism, icy self-talk, relentless pushing. But remember, that voice is borrowed software, installed because it was all you knew, not because it works. Want to break the cycle? Ask: how would I treat a child who endured what I just endured? Would you scold that exhausted child, or gather them gently, asking nothing in return? Now absorb the revelation. That child is still you. 30, 40, 50. Outer age, irrelevant. Beneath the armor, a younger self still waits. And no one's coming in the fanciful way you imagine. The task is not to find a perfect savior. It is to become the figure you needed. This isn't mysticism. It's deep psychology. Jung warned, what is not made conscious appears as fate. If you fail to recognize self-abandonment, it will script every romance, every job, every so-called choice. You'll roam the earth with emotional hunger, pleading to be saved. Yet salvation arrives the day you become your own refuge. Hard? Absolutely. Society trained you to compete, to prove, to outperform, never to hold your inner world with reverence, never to embrace your shadows. Now meet another unseen tyrant, the negative inner mother. A voice that whispers you're late, unworthy, too emotional, too needy. That voice isn't you. It's a distorted archetypal echo occupying the throne of your self-esteem. Until dismantled, it turns you against yourself. And how do we dismantle it? By listening, not resisting. What you resist persists. What you observe transforms. When the voice surfaces, don't flee into distractions or hollow affirmations. Gaze at it. Ask, whose words are these? Where did they originate? What relic are they repeating that isn't even mine? Watch as the threads reveal their origin. In that instant of brutal clarity, you'll see you've been trapped in a monologue you never authored. The moment you question it, power returns to your hands. That is genuine psychological awakening. Not mantras, not gurus. This fierce hour when you stop echoing childhood and start narrating adulthood. But beware the counterfeit cure of positive vibes only. Healing isn't denial, it's responsibility. It's choosing to fill the void yourself through small conscious acts. When tired, rest instead of shaming your fatigue. When sad, sit beside the sadness. Don't scold it. When afraid, listen without ridicule. This is the new language, the new internal motherhood, powerful enough to shatter generations of inherited patterns. And yes, the task feels immense, almost unmanageable, until you remember, you don't tackle a lifetime in a day. You begin with one merciful breath, one kinder sentence, one refusal to abandon yourself in the moment you need yourself most. Perfection isn't the goal. Awakening is. You don't have to break every chain tonight. You just have to tug a different link hard enough that the whole pattern shudders. Real change is never out there on some distant horizon. It hides in micro choices, choosing rest even when the task list sneers, saying no, voice trembling, so you can finally say yes to yourself, drawing a boundary no one claps for, then standing guard when the doubts arrive. That is love in its most rebellious form. Because in a culture that drills comparison, punishment, and endless hustle into our bones, treating yourself with tenderness is radical. It's looking your family history dead in the eye and declaring, "The pattern ends with me." Not because you're superior, not because you're invincible, but because you decided to wake up. And once you wake up, nothing can put you back to sleep. Not guilt, not judgment, not the ghostly voice that once paralyzed you. You stop walking in pursuit of approval. You start walking from an inner compass, rooted in awareness, upheld by firm limits, nourished by a love that neither demands nor sacrifices, but sustains. The kind of love you always deserved and can finally give yourself. That, whether the world notices or not, is the only inheritance worth passing on. Reach this point, and something in you has already shifted. No external stamp required. You feel it, a barely audible hum behind the ribs. It's the vibration that rises when you stare at what you spent a lifetime denying. It's grief intertwined with power, emptiness laced with possibility. The culmination of this journey isn't fireworks or angel choirs. It's silence. A fresh, luminous stillness that hovers once the inherited noise is broken. Now you understand why you so often felt like a stranger in your own skin. Why peace was elusive. You were inhabited by foreign voices, weighed down by borrowed needs, reacting to pain older than your body. No more. What remains is yours, your space, your identity, your voice. And here's the paradox that sets you free. You will not live without wounds. You will live with them consciously. Wounds aren't the enemy. Running from them is. Pretending they vanish, if unnamed, is. They transform only when seen, spoken, and walked through. On that crossing, precisely there, your true emotional maturity is born. Not the brittle version that performs stoic detachment, but the resilient kind that accepts. Inside you coexist broken pieces and wise pieces, parts that still sob and parts that now cradle. That is the threshold, the irreversible point where you stop being a symbolic child of yesterday and become the mother or father of today. You no longer inhabit what was missing. You craft what is possible. Few people touch that power. It demands courage, ruthless honesty, and a feral willingness to drop excuses, inherited fears, recycled justifications, and to live from within instead of echoing an ancient story. So here we pause. The video ends. The vital part begins, invisible to everyone but you. It lives in each tiny decision. Every time you refuse the old reflex, every time awareness guides you instead of scarcity. No audience, no applause, only a freedom too rare to purchase. Let me leave you with one sentence worth engraving on the underside of your days. When self-love grows from healed pain, it stops being a trend and becomes a silent revolution. If you've traveled this far, prove it in the comments. Write, "I am the end of the pattern." I want to see who merely watched and who truly felt. If this shook something awake, subscribe not for me, but for you. Around here, we don't polish egos. We sharpen consciousness. Tap the bell, because what's coming may sting, but it will liberate. Now close the tab. Or don't. Stare at your reflection for 10 unflinching seconds. Speak to yourself with a kindness you've never dared. Let tears fall if they come. Sit in brave silence. Because when you change the way you treat yourself, the world has no choice but to recalibrate. Test it, but test it from that deep place where you finally know the Savior was always you. Go then. Do the thing that scares you a little. Let the earth tremble when you choose to live unburdened by what once broke you. I'll see you in the next video, or maybe you'll be too busy rebuilding. Either way, I'm glad you made it, all the way to yourself.